What's up, everybody? Welcome back to One More Guitar. Thanks for watching the channel. I'm Kyle, and please remember to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, especially if you're a beginner guitar player, because I think the lessons I'm going to put out are really going to help you learn how to play and hopefully learn how to play pretty quickly. So today I want to go over the notes on the fretboard. Last week we looked at the music alphabet, and if you haven't seen that video, there's a link above. Please check that out and come back to this one. We're going to go over the notes on the strings and figure out how to find every note on the fretboard. So let's get going. Okay, let's jump right in and start looking at the notes on the lowest E string. The way you figure out the notes on the string is you take the string name and then you write out the music alphabet, starting with that note and ending with that note. So we have E, F, F sharp, G, G sharp, and then it starts over again at A, and then it continues until you get to E again. So now what we want to do is take these notes and overlay them on top of the E string. So you can see when we rearrange the music alphabet like this and lay it on top of the string that each fret represents one note of the music alphabet. And you start with the note that is the name of the string that you're playing. So in this case it's E, and we can see that we have another E at the 12th fret. This is what's known as the octave. That's when you go from one note to the same note all the way through the music alphabet. And I'm going to talk more about that in a minute. I just wanted to mention it while it's visual here. So after the 12th fret, you just start the sequence all over again. And that's going to be the case on every string. One more thing I want to mention is that remember the high E string is also an E string. So we can take this same sequence and apply it to that string as well. So you now have all of the notes on both of the E strings. Next, let's look at the notes on the A string. Since the music alphabet is already ordered from A to A, all we have to do is overlay it on top of the A string to see the notes on that string. And again, the notes just repeat after the 12th fret. Okay, let's do one more to make sure you've got it. This time we'll do the D string. And again, what you want to do is write out the music alphabet starting with the note that is the name of the string. So now we'll take this and overlay it on the D string so we can see the notes on the fretboard. So again, you can see that each fret represents a note of the music alphabet when you rearrange it starting with the string name. And here we have the notes on the D string. And of course it repeats after the 12th fret. So you can apply this same pattern to the G string and the B string as well. So here are all of the notes on the fretboard between the open strings and the 12th fret. And you can see that it's just the music alphabet arranged as we've been discussing. You should spend some time trying to get familiar with the notes on the fretboard. And to do this, just do what we've been doing. Use the music alphabet, lay it over a string, and try to find a note. Pick any string, pick any note, and see if you can find it. Okay, so now you can find any note on the fretboard, but you may be saying to yourself, how in the world am I going to think about this while I'm playing guitar? Well, there's a few different answers to that question. First, the fretboard never changes. Over time, the more you learn, the more notes you'll remember where they are. It just starts building up in your mind. And I call these landmarks. And the more landmarks you build up, the faster you can jump from one position to another on the guitar. And I'm definitely going to go over that and point out landmarks as we go along. But landmarks for each person are different. So just when you see a note and you see it over and over and over again, just try to remember where you saw it. And eventually you'll start mapping out the neck of the guitar. The second answer to the question is there's a trick I'm going to show you to help you find notes a little bit faster so you don't actually have to think about, every single note in between the notes, just kind of the pattern around notes. And the third answer to the question is you don't have to think about this a lot when you're playing. There are a lot of patterns and stuff on the guitar that we'll learn over the lessons, and when you start playing within the patterns, sometimes you don't even have to think about the notes you're playing. And I'm not going to say you shouldn't. Sometimes you definitely should think about the notes you're playing, right? So you don't have to think about the music alphabet every time you're looking for a note. This is just where we're starting, but in the future there are going to be tricks that help you find these notes a lot faster. Alright, so now I'm going to show you something I call the octave trick. This is just a little trick I use to help me find notes on different strings faster. I started doing this when I was younger, and it just kind of stuck with me. So when I'm looking for notes, if I can find one note, I can also find the octave of it very quickly. Before I show you the trick, I want to show you a couple of songs that use the octave, just so you know that this is something that you can use playing real songs right now. Okay, so here's a few examples of songs that use octaves. Here's one you may be familiar with. That's an octave. It's the same note, it's just at the other end of the music alphabet. You've gone from one note all the way through the music alphabet to the same note. That's a G, that's a G. Okay, so that's one song that uses it. Here's a couple of more. And one more. So as you can see, this is definitely used in some popular songs. So let me show you this trick and how you can find the octave from any note. So I'm going to show you how to find the octave note on a different string quickly. And this is going to work for the E string, the A string, the D string, and the G string. After that, you don't have a string to skip, so it doesn't work. But on the first 4 strings, it works. E and A have one set of rules, and D and G have a different set. I'll demonstrate this in a second, but just to tell you, for the E and the A strings, what you want to do is you want to skip a string and then move up 2 frets. And by up, I mean towards the body of the guitar. You start the same way with the D and the G strings by skipping a string, but then you have to move up 3 frets instead of 2 to find the octave note. So let's take a closer look at this. So we're going to start with a note that's on the low E string, the G note, and I apologize for my crude drawing here. But following our rule, we skip a string and then we move up 2 frets to find the octave note. So if we started on the 3rd fret, here on the 5th fret we have the G octave on the D string. So if we look at the A string, and again I'll just pick the note on the 3rd fret, which is C. We apply the same rule, we skip this string, go to the G string, move up 2 frets, and we have our octave note, which is C. So this really helps break the fretboard up. Any notes that you can play around G or C, or any patterns on the E and the A string, you can also do the same things 2 frets up on the D and the G string. So it's pretty useful. So let's look at the pattern for D and G. This time I'll start with the note on the 2nd fret, just because I'm running out of room. And we'll do the E note on the 2nd fret of the D string. So remember, for these strings, the trick's a little different. You actually have to go up 3 frets to get the octave note. You still have to skip a string, but you have to go up 3 frets. So there we have the E and the octave E. And it's the same trick on the G string. Right here we have an A note. And if we skip a string and then go up 3 frets, we have the octave A. So this trick doesn't work once you get to the B string and the E string, because you've got no string to skip. And that's the basis of the whole thing. So once you get to B and E, it's no good. But E and A have one rule and D and G have another rule. And hopefully seeing it laid out like this will help you break the fretboard up more in your mind. Again, everything just repeats. So if you can find a note on the E, the A, the D, or the G string, then you can find it anywhere else. And you can also do it in reverse, of course. So this is a very powerful trick. So this is going to help you break up the fretboard into smaller pieces. You'll get to a point where you start seeing patterns and you start remembering where notes are on the fretboard automatically. And when you do that, it really starts breaking it up for you, and it's not as daunting as it may seem at first. So here's what I want you to do to practice. I want you to just try to find any note on the fretboard. I want you to say a note out loud, D, and then try to find a D note. You can use the open strings, And we would have a D note there. If you walk up, you'd have a D note there. See? So there's D notes all over the fretboard. So just try to find any note. I mean, don't pick D, pick any note, right? Another thing I want you to do is try to use the octave trick. So say you want to find the note A. Well, when you find A, find the octave. How do you find the octave? You go over 2 strings and up 2 frets. A, A. And then the last thing I want you to do is try to start on the high E string and work your way backwards. I know this is a little trickier, but just exercising your brain this way will definitely help you out. So, try to do it backwards. So I've got an A. I want to find another A, another A, another A. You can do that with the octave trick. So these are just some things that you should practice. Get familiar with the fretboard and make sure you can find notes. If I told you to find an F sharp on the G string, can you find it? See if you can do that. Alright, so that's all I've got for you this week. Play around a little bit with trying to find the notes on the fretboard and get a little more familiar with the neck of the guitar. Also keep in mind the dots on the side of the guitar. When you find notes, try to pay attention to how close they are to one of those dots, because these dots are good ways to find landmarks. So just something to keep in mind when you're playing around and experimenting with the fretboard. So I hope this helped you out. I really do appreciate you watching the video. Please don't forget to hit the like button before you leave. And until next time, take it easy and keep playing.